Welcome to our first demo for programming through mobile app development. This one, we're going to go over things that we talked about in the first post overview lecture, to what's the website servers and stuff. So we're going to try and get ourselves a local space set up for developing some of these web pages, our remote space set up on the computer science department server, and do our first little upload to show what a website do. So yeah, let's get started. What you'll need to start is you'll need to have your file browser and some kind of web browser, right? So file browsers like File Explorer on Windows or Finder on Mac. Just get yourself a new one. Who knows? I hope none of this is super embarrassing. Just don't focus on my clutter. You're gonna have clutter. I'm gonna have clutter. Everyone's gonna have clutter. So the first step that I want to focus on right at the start to really help guide us forward is you want to prep your local workspace to some extent, right? You want to first pick a place to store things, right? In your computer, you have a load of different folders going on. Let's see. Can we get a better view of the folder structure? Let's see. What's the way? Yeah, I want lists, baby. Yeah. So all the way up to the hard drive, you've got applications, library system. Users is where you normally will store your stuff, right? Your own stuff. My login, my ID is JKL, so we can go in here. And now we get into a space where we can, this is more where you would want to start storing things. Now, for you, you'll probably have something like, here, we'll get in there. Let's make us a space. I would normally use I call it Workbench, but you could also do it in Documents. But for now, I'm going to do it Coursework. Oops, if I can spell it right. Coursework. So we'll get in there, and now we're seeing, okay, so this is an empty space. What I'm going to do is, every system has a way to do this. Finder, it's just kind of drag it over here. I'm going to drag Coursework over here. So now I have a link to it at all times. Every time I open Finder, I can jump straight to my course workspaces. So in File Explorer on Windows, I think you can do pinning. It's very similar at this point. So just give that an exploration. Now I'm going to make an ISC 250 folder, right? Because that's where we is. And I'm going to make a demo1 folder, right? Now, for you, this might be more like labs or et cetera, but this is just to show you how this all works. So I'm going to make a space for demo one. Okay, so now this is the location of where I'm going to do my local work, right? I'm going to, in Macintosh HD, the hard disk, in the folder users, JKL, and in a coursework folder I've set aside, ISC 250 and demo one. Okay, that's just so that we can make sure we know where things are, right? So if I want to quickly jump back to my coursework, great. We are right where we wanted to be. So now I'm going to do a second step, and we're going to make a really dumb little HTML file. So how do you write an HTML file? Well, we'll talk about that in an HTML refresher next time around, but the basics are, you need to put these tags in the right places. So head, and then end the head, and then body. Okay. Again, I will explain all this stuff in more depth in the future. And I'll give you a quick explanation of what I'm doing here, but I just want it to be look, it is always, programming seems like magic, but really, as I've emphasized before, it's just text. This was a blank text document, and now it is going to become a very simple web page. Okay, HTML implies this is a segment where HTML is going to appear. Head just happens to always be in HTML. I always include it just because I don't want it to be messy. And then body is where all the stuff that you're going to display to the user it comes in. So now we're going to do a simple one. H1, that means header one, so big header. Hello world. And then you end that tag, end H1. locations, again, locations of all these things can be flexible. You could do it like this, or you could do it like this. The indentation is just for us to see things properly. You'll want to focus on that in your life writing code. But so now we've got a header here, and now let's do a paragraph. So the paragraph is going to say, welcome to my very simple website. And then we close that paragraph tag. Okay, are you seeing the structure here? We have, hey, here's an HTML object. Hey, here's a header with nothing in it. That's just for my sanity's sake. Here's the body. Here's all the stuff we're going to display. Inside that, we have header 1. Cool. It says hello world. Inside and below that, we should see paragraph, welcome to my very simple website. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to save it into, well, let's go right to where I found, coursework. I specifically put the shortcut there for myself. So now ISC 250, demo 1, and we're going to call this simple, or let's call it index.html. Since that is, yes, I do want to use HTML, in fact, text editor. So, and if that wasn't clear, this is text edit, the most basic text editor program. I'm going to put that in the note there. Text edit, or I guess to keep so Windows first would be Notepad is the simplest one there, and text edit is the simple one here. We will get into using maybe better editors in the future, but for now I'm just demonstrating that this is just a little text file. So, okay, I have saved this file. I can see it here in the browser. Let's do real quick. If I double click this, I think it opens in the web browser. Yes, it does. Look at my very dumb little web page. Now, you can tell that this is the file protocol, and it is it's showing the local location, right? %20 just means space. So because I included a space there. So demo 1 index HTML, right? This should be familiar to you from this, right? We are in users, JKL, coursework, etc., right? Users, JKL, coursework, etc. So we have our hello world, and we have welcome to my very simple website. Cool. Now, that's not really a website because it's just an HTML file sitting on my computer. How do we get this online? So what you do next, now we're entering into the remote setup step. Go Google FileZilla. You can see I've already done it. FileZilla is the FTP client that we'll use, that I'll use in most of the demos. I mean, FTP works the same way everywhere, more or less. FileZilla just happens to be free, and it's sufficient, and it works. Like it's consistent, and it works on multiple platforms. So you go to the FileZilla site. Something to be clear, we got the lock, so that means it's an SS or secure, HTTPS, FileZillaProject.org. Look for that S. It is meaningful. Okay, bit of a cut there. Ran out of recording space, my goodness. And also had some issues with parsing this. You can see these many files I downloaded. Okay, so we're going to download FileZilla. It should automatically detect your operating system and give you the correct link right here. Well, let's move on. Download FileZilla. We say yes to this one on the left. We don't need a manual. No one needs Pro. Just download it. It gives you an error, oddly, and then it downloads this strange-looking file. Let's see. Oop. Well, I accidentally clicked it. I was trying to get the little pop-up to show it. Well, here, look. This is a zip file. You can see I've recently downloaded it many times, and it's been doing it multiple times by mistake. So this is, when you unzip this, so decompress, but you can also just open it in Mac world. You can just open it. You might need to do a couple other steps to unzip it in Windows 10. Oh my God, it keeps downloading it. Stop. That's so bizarre. Here's our hello world. Let's go back to this. So FileZilla is an app. Now I'm going to open it right here just to show you that. But in Mac, it's very careful. It's trying to be blah, blah, blah. and it opens, right? But before we do that, we want to move this to a place where it makes sense. You can see this is the third one I have in my downloads folder. That's just the mess. What we want is to get this to a place where we're going to keep it forever. So applications is usually one of your options. In Windows, it's going to do a full install on its own too. Just, again, make sure you know how to open it, right? You could drag it and drop it into your applications folder. Let's get out of the downloads and just to now that we want to actually run our version of FileZilla that we have downloaded and unzipped. So you pop it open. Here we are. Ta-da! So if our goal is to get our dumb little web page somewhere onto the internet, we would have to have a place to go. So first, let's get into this, right? So we've downloaded FileZilla. Good. You now all have new logins. If you've already had a course in the computer science department that uses the computer science server, then you're good to go. You already know how to do this. But if you don't, we've created a new one for you recently. So your login, I should put here in the text, username, your login email prefix, right? The stuff before the app, right? So the at. For me, that would be Lindstedt, which I'll show you in a moment. And then your default password is right now CSC212. I'll send out a message about how to change that. You want it to be changed. Otherwise, anyone can access it. It's also just the default that the script does. This is not CSC212, obviously, but this is the script they use. Okay, so this is your login. So how do we use this in FileZilla? What's going on with FileZilla? Well, we have here on the left side, we can see this is our operating systems. This is our file system, right? We have the slash, we have users, JKL, cool. In fact, let's go ahead and navigate to the spot where we know we're going to be working, coursework, ISC 250, and demo 1. And down here, we can see there's our index right there. So just to contrast, since I exited, I had to close a thing. Let's get to our spot. Okay, so very similar. In fact, let me go back up a couple of steps and I'm going to change the view. I kind of like list because it shows the full file tree. So we see in my coursework folder, ISC 250 demo 1, and there's index.html. Yay. And then we see in FileZilla a similar scenario. Coursework ISC 250 demo 1, index.html. Yay. Okay, so now if we want to get this up online, we're going to have to connect to the remote server. So, okay, this is pre-populated. I'm actually going to delete it right now in front of your eyes so that we have to make one from scratch. New site. You click new site and you can rename it CS Department Server. You can name it whatever you want. The name is for you, not for the actual connection. These are the parameters for the connection. So what do we need to connect properly to these servers? Well, first of all, we're going to go through SFTP, right? The Secure File Transfer Protocol, or SSH. So the host, in this case, it's not just... So there are a few different little access points for the computer science department servers. And we use the access point called pi.cs.oswego.edu. So edu is that top level domain. Oswego is the domain name, as we discussed. CS is our little specific section, and then pi is its specific entry point. You don't have to mess with the port. We use the default port, which would be 22, but you don't have to mess with it. And then we use our username. So like I said, the email prefix, Lindstedt for me. And then mine is a little different than yours. Yours will be CSC212. Mine is something else. Wait, got to make sure I type that right. Okay, so now this is the definition of our FTP connection. We're saying, I want to go onto the server. Show me. And I'm going to click connect. Yes, it did it. Oh, sometimes it doesn't, and normally if you have everything correct, it will do it right. But I've had some issues logging in the past couple days. So, ta-da! Here we are. We are on both my local machine here and my remote slice of the CS department server over here. Okay, so let's make some sense of this. Let's look around here. I have a bunch of stuff. You have all the dots and all that. I have my folders. I have things here. Public HTML is where the website lives. This is where the web server software on the computer science department server, this is where it is looking for each person to find their website. So if I go in here, let's see. So the files will only show up down here, right? Index.php is my index. So if we go to my website, in this case, it is cs.oswego.edu/ I use an alias there, but let's go to my one that matches my username, just like yours will. So Linstead, it opens it. Aha. Now the web server knows to look for something named index. In this case, mine's named PHP because it's doing a little bit of other stuff behind the scenes. We won't focus on that, but you can see it here. Now let's say I want to go. So this is to recall some ideas. This is the file structure that I use on my website. I've got a lot of stuff going on here. I have a section for apps. In fact, let's go in there. One of the apps I use is Kiln. I use this in other courses, and Kiln is I guess it uses index.html. These are the files for a little web app we're going to go to real quick. Now, how do we get there? So here's an issue. I don't have the link structure up on my own website right now. Shame, shame. I'm going to have to navigate directly to it using the file structure. So apps/Kiln. But when I do, Kiln loads up. Now, Kiln, we're not going to focus on. It's a little painting app I use to teach basics of programming to students. Let's just do .is_move paint. And we're just going to make dots, right? This is a simple web app that I use to teach programming. It's art, it's weird, it's dots, whatever. You can see this is a functioning tool. It's a functioning app. And these files in the Kiln folder here are what comprise that app. I've got a CSS file, I've got a JavaScript file, I've got a secondary JavaScript file, I've got a place for the assignments I use for students. So if we want to go to assign.html in the same folder, right? So by default, it's using the index when you load this folder. We can also go to assign.html. Assign. Nope. Gotta spell it right. All right. So see, this is a different structure. And it's a whole page, and I can walk through a bunch of things, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Closing that down for now. This is my site, right? And you've seen a little bit of sort of the file structure in FileZilla here, and then my lack of a good link structure online. I guess I should go back and show some of the link structure that is preserved and good. So, you have here right away, you get to my current courses. This is a little out of date because we've switched to so much online Blackboard stuff, but, and you see this is a landing page for a course. What once was the way I would deliver these courses, right? ISC 220 over here, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, you see, this is my site. All contained in index.php and all the links to the other pages hidden in the rest of the file structure here, right? Under public HTML. So let's go back to the main topic, right? We're trying to get our dumb little website, our dumb little web page up online somewhere. So let's create in my public HTML, similar to what you'll want to do, is I'm going to make a new, create a directory. In my public HTML, I'm going to make a directory called, we'll just do ISC 250 demos. And then we'll go, okay. No. There it is. Okay. So now this is a new subfolder, right? There's nothing in it. So if I go in my web browser here and I go to ISC 250 demos, nothing's there. Oh, I didn't spell it right. I got to capitalize that D. Okay, ISC 250 demos. Yes. What should happen? We get this sort of default page that it generates. The web server software, Apache, knows that there is a folder here and that it was not an incorrect address, but there's nothing in it. There's no index for it to automatically find. So we want to get our index up there. Well, guess what? We're right in the right spot to do that. Let's do it. Oh ho. Now I have dragged the index from the local over to the space in the remote server. Nothing yet. What if we reload? There it is. We have our local version using the file system, and we have our online live version that you can actually navigate to by going to your username. Oh, right. This is JKL still. I'll show you that that's just an alias. My actual username is the way. So you have the tilde with the username and then ISC250 demos, right? So I'll use different structures going forward, but this is just to show that this functions, right? Let's do a little bit more before, let me get a little bit better here. Let's do a little bit more before we shut it down. But I've essentially shown you everything we need to, right? This is the way that you can log in to the server and start putting files down, right? But let's make another file. Let's make this couple files that can link to each other. In fact, within the paragraph, let's put, here is a link to another page. And I'm going to make that link an anchor. Now, when you make an anchor tag, you give it an href. So where should I go from here? And we're going to take ourselves to another page right next to us called test.html. Now, this is going to, by default, look in the same folder that this file is in. So we should make a folder called, or a file called test.html. So let's do that. And we're going to make sure it's in the same folder. So let's go ahead and save this blank document into the same folder. So test.html. Yes, we want to use HTML. Yeah. Good. All right. And you know what? I'm going to demonstrate right away. Never feel bad cannibalizing your own code. Just know how it works from scratch. Just copy and paste things that save you time, right? In the test, we're just going to do, let's see, I don't know. What do we want to do? I think the simplest thing will just be like a bunch of headers. Header 1. Header 2. Header 3. And so on, right? We're going to save that. Let's see what these two documents look like on our local side. So let me reload here. Okay. Hello world. Welcome to my very simple website. Here is a link, and you can see the H, or A is anchor for link. Link to another page. There we go. Header 1, 2, and 3. We now have 2 separate pages up and running. Woo! But we need to get them both up onto the server, right? So, and we have updated this local index file too. So we want to make sure they both go. So to start, let's refresh here. You can refresh by clicking into other folders, or I think you might have this one. Refresh the file and folder list. Yeah. So in demo 1, in our working folder here, we now have the updated version of the site that this one does not have, right? So now let's do 2 things. We're going to move test over there cleanly, the test HTML. Cool. And we're going to just to update the remote file, I'm just going to move index over there and let it ask like, ooh, hey, What should I do? Well, in this case, it gives you a lot of options. Generally, you're just going to want to say, as long as you know what you're doing, you want to say overwrite. Now, don't do it in the reverse when you are trying to upload, because that means that you're going to take the old outdated version and dump it over your updated one. Oops, it's dead, right? I've lost all the work that I've done. So that's just a warning. For now, check it out. We have the local version and the remote version. Let's go make sure it works online. Okay, this is my website. Reload it. Here's a link to another page. Haha, there it is. We can move forward and backward between the pages. And we have two files linked to each other online on the internet. You can go to this address yourself and see it in action. In the future, I might, this file might not last forever, but when you see this video, you'll likely have access to it. But either way, I've demonstrated the principle. So even if this goes away, you see the ideas, yes? So to recap, when you want to work on something like this, you're going to, your main bridge between the internet and where your server lives and your local stuff is FileZilla or any FTP client, right? You log in using your credentials. You navigate to the space that you're working in locally. You navigate to the space that you want to upload things to remotely, and you just drag things over. And that works. I mean, that achieves the functionality. This is a web page on my website now. Yeah, and that should get you going, right? So the first lab will be associated with this same process. I'll give you some specific structures to put on there for your site. But yeah, otherwise, I think that puts you in a good space, and bon voyage. I'll leave the text here. Yeah. Okay. That's it. Take care.